This is a Free Spirits X-Pipe, and today we're going to be fitting it to my Triumph 1200 Thruxton. So this is my almost perfect Triumph 1200 Thruxton. But like any modern bike, it's laden with compromises. And what we need to do is we need to release the beast and take away the catalytic converter. So here's what she sounds like with the cat. So the bike sounds muted and it's not performing as it could if it was more naturally aspirated. Now when you look at the pipes, it looks as though you've got this lovely single stainless steel pipe on each side, but actually this is a twin-walled pipe. And what happens, if you look underneath, is the exhaust gases go into a catalytic converter and come back out again and rejoin the pipe about here. And all of that is hidden behind this single sheath of steel. Now it seems like a really easy idea to remove the catalytic converter and replace it with some pipework that's going to bypass the cat. But unfortunately, this doesn't just drop out if you undo it. It's actually squeezed in within the subframe. So to do this job, we're going to have to lift the tank to access a bolt up here so we can get into the subframe. We've got to loosen a bolt up here, and we've also got to loosen a bolt back here, which means we can't use the side stand, because if we loosen off the subframe with the bike on the side stand, the whole thing will collapse and fall on top of me. So we have to stabilize the bike, we have to use a paddock stand, and we have to get an awful lot of tools out to do this whole job properly. So it's simple in principle, but a little complicated in practice and needs a little bit of preparation and some proper sensible thinking as we go. We have to start removing or loosening most of the exhaust on both sides, especially on this left side. The collars, the sensors, bolts under here, covers, bolts under here, and the end can's going to come off as well. And you can see how the pipe from here actually isn't joined to this at all. There's a nice big gap I can get my finger right through, because this pipe is fed by the cat, which is going to be replaced by this. So the pipe will go in there, come out there and into there. And you can see it's all separate. And here we can see the offending ugly item at this end that has to go. So it looks like we have to take this right off, and there's a link pipe here, so I'm going to get in to the middle to loosen off the collar that attaches the link pipe. There's not a lot of room in here, but it's doable. It's a bit fiddly getting this collar off. The link pipe's right in the way. Ah, okay. As you say, it just suddenly falls apart in your hand. So having loosened everything off, it looks as though I can take this exhaust right off. I've got a feeling that's going to be really annoying to put back on. Now, to completely remove it, I have to remove the lambda sensor. Now we can see right into the engine. You can see right into the link pipe. It'd be fun to run it like this. You'd see flames coming out of here and it'd be unbelievably loud. So now we need to lift off the radiator. Easier said than done, because all of these sensors will stop it lifting. I don't think that's going to happen. That's not going anywhere. Tea break time. It's fiddly as fuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fiddly fucking job. So we've undone as many things as we can below here, because the ultimate plan is to pull the frame open so the cat can drop out, having undone the bolts that hold the cat on. But to do that, we've got to undo 3 bolts, and one of them is under the tank. So we have to lift the tank off, which means undoing the fairing, which we've already done, so now it's separate. And we have to get the bolt that holds the tank on, which is under the seat. So it's seat off and then tank up. And we're going to try and not remove the tank and just prop it up so we can get at that bolt. So we're now deep into the afternoon, and there might be a few bits that I haven't made an edit, because this is actually quite fiddly and quite difficult. So camera Dan, come in a bit closer, because over the last couple of minutes, Dan and I have been wrestling with this motorcycle. What we were trying to do was this, make this bottom part of the frame completely loose. Now, normally this is what holds the engine on the bike, so undoing all of this has been incredibly difficult. It was pinned together by this radiator, where 2 pins that locate the bottom of the radiator were acting as a bridge that would stop it moving around. Getting all of this up and off and separate was incredibly difficult, and getting to the back of the nut at the top of the frame was also incredibly difficult. This job is fiddly, And I don't know how well this is going to function as a how-to video. It's certainly going to function well as a how not to video, but at least you can see now what we were trying to achieve. Undoing enough stuff to get this to do this so we can drop the cat out. Okay, we're getting to the nub of it now. There's a couple of bolts more to get this cat off. Important tool, 12mm socket. Even more important tools, my last 2 flat whites. That's promising. That is a big, heavy, ugly thing. So we've got to keep all these collars. We've got to keep this rubber thing, and then hopefully this is going to take its place. Okay, so that's that where it should be. The rubber grommet is where it should be. If Camera Dan had told me how difficult and fiddly this was going to be, I might well have persuaded somebody else to make this video.
I did.
You did? Okay, you did, but you could have made more of a deal of it, dude. I'm trying to get this rubber grommet out. It's not in 2 hugs, is it?
No, tuck that side down. Oh, you've got a tough one.
Yeah, mine's tough, dude. None of your namby-pamby street twin rubber grommets. No, no, we go hardcore here on the Thruxton.
Get a bit of grease on that.
A bit of grease. I've never put copper grease on a rubber grommet before. So, shall we see if this fits?
Yep.
Right, so it's a little snug in here. What else needs to line up? This needs to line up. So, held on by 2 bolts. One at the front here, one at the back, and then the kind of plunger grommet thing over there. I'll tighten this up. Don't need to go crazy because there's a big rubber spacer in there. This all looks kind of promising. It fits. So now we've swapped out the cat, the X pipe is in, and this loose frame now needs to be restored to its proper job and function of holding the engine into the bike. So pretty much now it's all about reassembling the bike and hoping everything still works. So these will all need to be torqued up later. I just want everything pretty much in position for where it should be later. Can you hold that position? So for the benefit of the viewer, I'd like to say only do this with a handy cameraman.
I've got a sweat off.
Excellent. That means we're doing a good job. There you go, that is the right torque setting for that bolt because I undid it and I did it up.
Is it full grunt?
It's full grunt.
It says 50 Newton meters there, well the M10 was
45. You find it? I'm happy to just do it up really tight. I'd like to use one of these, dude. 80 Newton meters of torque on this.
Yep.
So the cat is off the Thruxton and it's been replaced with something a lot lighter that will allow the bike to breathe properly. It'll make more mid-range and it'll sound fantastic. I would say that that was a really difficult job, definitely a 2-man job. A lot of thanks to Camera Dan. Thanks, Dan. That would have been impossible without his help, especially fitting the exhaust back together on the Thruxton because of the link pipe. It's incredibly difficult to do, and you probably will make a few little scratches and dings along the way. This probably isn't the best walkthrough video you've ever seen. Other people have done a better job of step-by-step of how to do this, but in terms of giving you a general idea of what's involved, certainly what I can tell you is quite a lot. So here we go. Let's go outside and see what it sounds like. It's taken us so long to do this that it's now dark. So let's see what free spirits have to offer us in the sounds department. Oh yes. Not only does that sound much more throaty and bassy, I would say the throttle response is actually quicker. There's less delay, less lag. When you snap the throttle open, it seems to spin up straight away. So I think there's a lot more going on there than just a bit more noise and maybe a bit more mid-range, but we'll find out when we ride it.